Yeah, just along the lines of what we've been talking about, it's not lining up to how buyers want to buy. And if most of them are, let's say if Gartner and Forrester studies are correct, where they're doing 60, 70, 80% of the buying journey themselves, think about that first brand touch point, right? Hey, I've spoken with maybe 3 of my peers. They've given me 3 tools to look into, each one of them, pros and cons. I already have my short list. I've identified that this is a problem. We're scoping out our vendors. And then I go to submit a demo request to these 3 companies. Now I hop on that call and I say, look, I want to talk about my use case. I want to understand pricing to see if it's within like my budget. And typically that first call is with a junior SDR that says, oh, those are great questions from my AE. Or, ooh, yeah, let me jot that down. I can't answer any of your questions. I can't show you the product, and I cannot share pricing with you. And this, let's say hypothetically, is a buyer that has gone through 80% of their journey. In ways, we're penalizing them for doing research and coming to us and saying, hey, your first brand touch point with potentially buying our product or service is with one of the most junior sales reps that really doesn't offer any value. They are just putting another gate, putting another time on your calendar, extending that sales cycle and saying, let me see what time works. In essence, they're a glorified appointment setter. And there's tools and technology that can replace that. I think as we're talking about now, there's been this over segmentation of sales, but I think we're coming back to this full cycle rep. So where does that inbound SDR fit into the modern buyer's journey? To me, and I've seen a bunch of comments and I've seen a bunch of customers as well, when they actually go through that Chili Piper process, they say, wow, that was pretty smooth. That was nice. I got booked with an AE. I think this might be nice for my prospects. So to me, it just doesn't match up. I think in the past where sellers typically had that information and a buyer needed to speak with sales to do that, but now they're getting that information elsewhere. So all things being equal, what is something that the buyer needs that they think the seller has, and they typically ask them as one of the first questions. If they see, let's say, those 3 competitions, those 3 software products as equal competitors, the only thing that the seller has that the buyer thinks that they don't have is pricing. So they're going to ask for that right away. And if you can't answer that on a first call, or at least give them a range and say, hey, let's book a time next week to have it with an AE, and then the AE asks the same questions, and then it goes on to the sales engineer. So sometimes it takes 3 calls before they even get to see the product. I just think it's not in line with how people buy today. And you have to strike while the iron is hot. I'm sure you've probably experienced this too, where if there's any delays or priorities take place, they might not reopen that evaluation for another year, right? So, or in some cases, if that vendor is actually getting them through the process as quickly as possible, then the other ones that are trying to schedule for their AEs, they're like, hey, I'm already late stage with this company. Why would I restart and go through the same process? So to me, the bottom line is I don't think it matches with how buyers want to buy today. I think it's very company centric, this inbound SDR process where it doesn't serve the customer. It's really very self-serving, trying to ask things like budget, timeline, decision makers, where if they've identified a problem and they've come inbound, you should try and help them solve it as quick as possible and not put a gate or a junior SDR as their first brand touch point.